Hello, everyone.
This is the Tiff and Jack Show, a podcast devoted to helping you dump the overwhelm and live the happy because you living your best life now matters.
Thank God.
I know. Today is episode number 30. What propaganda are you buying into?
Wow, episode 30.
Here we are.
Nice.
We've recorded 30 episodes as of today.
Perfect.
I know. It's pretty awesome, isn't it? It's
Totally.
fun. I enjoy doing our podcast
I do
lot.
too. I do too.
And we're so glad to be here. We've had a fantastic week away. We were gone on vacation in San Diego, California, enjoying the warm ocean air, sometimes the cool ocean air, and the salty breeze and the amazing people. What a great vacation that we had.
It was so
much
great.
fun. Such a great
Very
getaway.
rejuvenating. I have not seen the ocean for 8 years.
Yeah, me too.
Right?
Unless I snuck out without you. Yeah, it's been a very long time since we've been near the ocean, and I have had a hankering for it, let me tell you.
You really have.
Yeah.
And
it was fantastic to get there. We were actually with a couple of friends who were celebrating their 30th anniversary.
Mhm.
Congratulations to them.
yes.
That's
absolutely.
a good long time, isn't it?
That's a long time.
Have you made it to 30 years in your relationship?
I don't know.
We haven't.
No.
But we will.
Yeah, we sure will.
We certainly will.
I loved being on the beach and just soaking in sun rays and clean air. Oh, it was so good for my lungs. We love Salt Lake City, Utah. It's so gorgeous, but there's an air issue here.
We have
And-
poor air quality, and it's getting worse
yeah, so,
all the time, especially during the winter months, but even now during the summer months.
Yeah, I'm
Which is
doing a lot
sad.
of breathing treatments for my asthma. And I had not one breathing treatment in California. My lungs were as clear could be. And it has a lot to do with being sea level and the air is being continually cleaned by the ocean.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was
So what was your
nice.
biggest surprise with San Diego?
Oh, how peaceful it was and how kind the people were. I was like, wow, people are, they just felt more awake to me. They were very smiley and very eye contact, connective, just friendly, peaceful experience. I was very amazed by that.
It felt like the epitome of the Hang 10 lifestyle, just pretty chill and relaxed.
yeah.
We would go down and watch the sunset each day, wherever, if we were in La Jolla or
La
Ocean
Jolla?
Beach. La
La
Jolla.
Jolla.
Oh, yeah, La Jolla. We joked about that the whole time.
I'm like,
And I
"What's
just
La
said
Jolla?"
it wrong. Oh, my God.
Honey,
We're
that's
all about
hilarious.
giving you a good laugh. So going to La Jolla, California was pretty exciting.
Yeah, we really loved La
That's
Jolla.
so
That was
cool.
nice.
Yeah, it was beautiful. But so we would go watch the sunset and just stop and looking at the ocean and watching the birds flying and the people out surfing and just being there. And honestly, that was my biggest surprise too, is the friendliness.
Really?
Yeah, we stayed on Coronado Island at the Navy base there. And people were so friendly there. That was an amazing experience. But
Yeah.
then all the little tourist towns and all the little oceanside towns that we would go to, people were so incredibly friendly.
Mm-hmm.
It felt different. It
It
really did. And it makes me love that. I want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
I
For
really
sure.
do. In fact, we made a decision. We're going to go back every couple,
Every few
three or
months.
so months just to have, did you hear me? Have a little throat swallow. Oh, God.
I don't think anyone
I am in the
heard.
mood to laugh. Oh, boy. So anyway, just my biggest surprise too was the friendliness.
And
The
I
people were
have
so
to
chill.
say the Mexican food.
Oh, Miguel's. Shout out for
Holy
Miguel's.
cow.
Was that on the island? Coronado
Yes.
Island? Oh,
It was
God.
so good.
So good.
and
the
the mixed
margaritas.
drinks. Woo! Yeah, really good.
We had such a great time.
We really did.
Lots of really good
I could have stayed for a little while longer.
I definitely could have too. It was definitely shorter than, I think, a good 10 solid days.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
But we got a lot to get back for.
Yeah. Like our podcast. Here we are.
Yes.
So today we just went out. It's a Sunday morning. We had a really nice breakfast out with our friends, and we're home now recording the podcast. The house is a little bit of a mess, needing some cleaning time, but who wants to do that? We're on vacation.
Right.
We're milking this thing for all it's worth. Work starts again tomorrow, but that's all
Yeah.
really awesome.
So what fun things we're going to talk
Well,
about?
I think that one of the whole message today is about what propaganda are you buying into, and what does propaganda mean to you, our listener? And Tiff, what does it mean to you?
Propaganda is the bullshit we buy into.
Yeah, propaganda is what someone else is using towards you to tell you that they want you to believe or think so that they can control the way you behave.
Right.
So that could be political.
Yeah.
That could be family.
Yep.
That could be religious.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever another group or person wants you to do differently, they're going to probably tell you some things to make you do that. I have a really good example of some propaganda.
Are we done talking about our week?
No, we can go back to that, but I'm just going to share this awesome.
Where's the order here?
I just want to share an awesome little story. That's so funny that you're the one complaining about order.
Yeah.
Well, when I'm typically the line by line person.
No, I don't think that's true. You definitely are, but I'm an order person. Like there's an order.
You're a get her done kind of person.
Yes, with order.
Okay. All right. So then let's go back to the ordered list.
No.
Shall I share the story?
Yeah, share the story.
Okay. So this is one of my less than fine moments as a parent of small children.
I'm going to have to think of one that
it just really, it gives me a little sense of what could have been shame about doing this. But since I've worked through it and can see it for what it is, it doesn't feel shameful to me today, but it is, I could have
propaganda.
I could have done things differently. So one of my children, she tended to cry a lot about things and get very irate and have little fits. And because she's a very dynamic, strong personality, I adore her. And she was doing a lot of her little fit throwing and crying. And I said something terrifically untrue and very, very, very propaganda-ish. I said to her, I said, honey, if you don't stop crying, the police will come. Okay, that's so bad. It's terrible. Don't say that to your kids. All right, I'm telling you right now. Because she developed an intense fear of the police.
Is that why?
Yes.
Every
time she would see or hear sirens, she would be afraid they were coming to get her.
Oh, honey.
So, propaganda gone wrong.
So what did she do when you told her that?
Well, you know what? Honestly, I think because it left such an impression on her, it was hard for her to. Oh, you mean right in the moment that I told her when she was having a fit? It made her cry more.
Oh,
because it made her scared. Then I had to always tell her they weren't. But man, don't do that.
Yeah, when we're parents and stuff, we say all kinds of things to condition our kids. And the reason we condition them is because we want them to believe or think a certain way.
I wanted her to stop crying.
Yeah.
So what am I doing? I'm telling her something that I think will manipulate her thoughts to make her behave the way I want her to behave.
Right.
Sick. That's we all do it.
We all do it. That's why it can't be sick, because
that's why
it's just part of this life experience.
Yeah. And that's why we're talking about this topic today, because it is important that we and you and everyone considers what propaganda have you bought into, really?
Right.
Think about your life.
Okay, let's go back to the list.
You mean you eating popcorn at 4 a.m. while we're on vacation?
Okay,
here's the deal. This is something that was on the list, and I just need to share it because it was damn hilarious. So I'm just sleeping away, enjoying my vacation. I love the thought of being able to sleep in, and there's no alarm clock to wake up to. Life is free and easy. And I am out cold, and I hear this wrinkling of crackly paper or a bag, or like, you know how awful wet wipes sound when you're opening a wet wipes and there's like loud and crunchy plastic. Well, so I'm like, what are you doing? And I look over and Tiff is throwing handfuls of popcorn in her face, sitting in bed eating popcorn. And she doesn't eat popcorn like a normal person. She takes a handful of popcorn and like throws it at her mouth, and popcorn pieces are shooting off here and there. And a whole bunch go in her mouth.
Oh, honey.
That is the way you eat popcorn, isn't it?
Well,
own it.
No.
Don't lie. It is too. So that was just one of our vacation experiences.
And you just thought that was so
Yeah,
funny.
you munching on your popcorn in bed at 4 a.m, and you want me to wake up and play.
Well, that's
and I
true.
was tired.
I know. I'm like, let's do something. Let's go down in the dark
and walk on the beach.
and
which
walk
would have
on the
been
beach.
a great memory. It would have been, but I was not in the frame of mind to get to be awake.
Well, I thought I'd start eating some popcorn because
Yeah.
I had such damn bad
yeah,
heartburn.
you did it.
Oh, yeah. So I'm glad you found that hilarious. That'll be a good memory for you.
Yeah.
If I were dead tomorrow,
Oh God,
you'd always
I
remember.
wish I'd put a bag of popcorn next to me in bed. Crinkle it every now and then.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about thoughts. So you have 60,000 thoughts a day. That's
Give or
pretty
take.
Yeah. And
guess how many of those thoughts that you have every single day are the same thoughts you're going to have tomorrow and the next day and the next day? What would you guess? Just make a guess, listener. It is 58,000 of the 60,000 thoughts you have a day are the same thoughts you had the day before.
Yes. But you do get 2,000 new thoughts.
Yes, you do.
And you know what's exciting about that?
You get to create something new with those 2,000 new thoughts.
Yes.
And the more aware you are now that you're thinking the same thoughts every day, you're going to start thinking a bigger percentage of new thought. New thought is where you're creating something new in your life. You're not just reliving the old day in, day out, living the grind. You're actually tapping into why you're here, what your heart's calling to, what your desires are begging to be lived.
Mm-hmm. So that's like really good news.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of those 58,000 rethought thoughts are propaganda thoughts that somebody else told you when you were a kid, or
no question,
carried for a lifetime, telling yourself that if you go outside without your coat, you're going to get sick.
Yeah. And we've talked about the conscious brain and the unconscious brain, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about it, a little deeper today. The conscious brain, I've explained before, is the part of the brain that makes sense of what's going on. And it's also the decision-making part, and the part that has new experiences and remembers old experiences. And the unconscious part of the brain is the part of the brain that stores your entire belief system and also is subject to the conscious brain. So whatever the conscious brain tells it to do, it's going to do it without question.
That's a big deal.
So if you're having a thought that, I'm a piece of crap, or my day's going to be shitty today.
Guess what? You're going to have a shitty day.
Yeah, because the unconscious brain will say,
like,
okay, and connects right in electromagnetically right into utilizing the law of attraction. Right?
Yes.
Thoughts are things. They are electromagnetic pulses that move through your brain in neural pathways that will literally pull in the experience. So once you make a decision from your unconscious brain or from your conscious brain, your unconscious brain will begin to go to work and pull that in for you. Yes.
Because, the subconscious has no judgment or no, it's just what your wish is my command, essentially, is what's happening.
Yes. Crazy, right?
It's a really big deal.
So propaganda. Let's talk about some of the stuff that we believe. Like, what are some of the things that we believe? Because you are getting other people's information placed upon you, and you may buy into what you're being told. Where do we find different elements of propaganda?
Definitely religion is a really big one. Family culture is another really big one. Different groups, different.
The news.
Oh my God, the news.
Yeah.
Yes, one big tragedy after another. And yeah, there are a lot of things going on, but there's a lot of really good things going on, but it doesn't make news.
No, and here's what's interesting is we were talking to our son in France. He keeps his eye open on all kinds of news. And he says that he notices that American news is very fear-based and makes everyone feel afraid. And I never watch the news. I know what's going on. We've had a lot of hurricanes, and we are absolutely not minimizing. And there's been some fires in California, and there's been some lives lost, and we had the shooting in Vegas. There are some things that have been happening. But when you focus on the fear tactics of those things
making
that
people
are tragic,
afraid.
making people feel afraid, people get so stirred up, and their brains buy into this stuff. And what if we were talking about all the positive aspects from the tragedies? And what if we were talking about all the amazing things that are going on in the world right now? I can guarantee you some of the listeners on this podcast probably have an idea that nothing good's happening. Everything's pretty shitty. And we just want to say there's a lot of great things going on. Sad things make the news for sure. And there are some news, what are they called?
Stories.
We'll just say news stories. That make it so much bigger and so much scarier and draw so much attention to it that we buy into that. And then our unconscious brain says, okay, and begins to start to work with the law of attraction. And you start bringing in more stuff into your life like that. We're all living in our own unique universe, our own map, our own designed way of looking at things. And one of the problems we run into as human beings is we think our way, our universe, our thought process is the only right thought process there is.
Mm-hmm. And today we're asking you to question that.
Yeah.
Question your thought process. Take a look. What thoughts are you having about yourself that is limiting you in some way, that's holding you back, making you play small, not playing all out, just being afraid to live and live big?
Right.
What are you believing? What were you told as a child? You can't do that. You'll never be able to accomplish that. That's being unrealistic. You need to do it this way or that way because that's how the parent did it or someone else in the family did it. But really, we're here to do it our way and to live our way and to live our best life today.
Right.
And tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And to do that, you literally have to challenge the propaganda that you've been told.
Right.
There's no way I would have ever transitioned from a female body to a male body as a trans man. I never would have done that if I bought into all the propaganda I had been told, because the religion that I grew up in, now all people, my family that still subscribes to that religion or is a part of that religion, they have called me things such as being a lost soul, meaning I'm lost to God or I'm lost to, like, I've lost my path or my way. That is really phenomenal, isn't it? That's pretty exciting to tell one of your children or your people, your siblings.
It's bullshit.
Yeah, that you're lost. Oh, I'm sorry, you're lost. You're lost.
Mm-hmm.
How insane. If I was buying into that propaganda, I would never be able to be where I am
and
today.
you'd never be happy.
No.
You'd be like, oh my gosh,
I've got to be good. I've got to be different. I can't be myself because if I'm myself, I'm lost. I'll be lost.
Right.
That's really bullshit.
Right.
So we want you to look at the propaganda you've bought into that is limiting your self-expression.
And the propaganda that you're placing on other people. Right?
Ooh, yeah. Hello. Like my example that I shared. Think about maybe some of the things you've told your kids or other people in your life that you're trying to control or manipulate them. I'm sorry, we are all manipulators.
Yep.
Like the sooner we can just accept that about ourselves, the better life is going to be for everybody.
It's true. It's true. You know, we, from the second we're born, we learn how to do certain things to get what we need. So we cry if we need to be fed. We throw fits if we want our way. You know, if we're tired, we act this way or we act that way. We act to do all these things to get what it is because that's what we're taught that we need to do in order to have the things that we need. And we're here talking about a different way.
Yeah, that the universe has your back, that your subconscious will do whatever you tell it, so to speak. You're the one in charge. You get to choose for yourself what you will and won't do. You can claim your life. You can claim your best life today. The only thing limiting you is what you're believing about it being possible. And I would dare guess, like ourselves and most of our clients have had certain beliefs that tell us we can't live what our heart's desire is because we don't have the time or the money to do it.
Oh, totally.
I would dare bet that is a limited thought that we have told our subconscious mind over and over and over. And our subconscious mind is going to say, okay, we'll make sure you don't have enough money or time. But the truth is the source energy has our back. The universe has our back.
So what happens is when you set your intention, and you've heard us talk, you've heard us talk about setting your intentions. When you are very clear with what you want, I want you to think of it this way. just be clear with your unconscious brain, because your unconscious brain can be triggered. It can be triggered with positive things or negative things. And so if you're doing something and you feel a negative feeling, you're pretty certain that you are being triggered in a negative way. All you have to do is reframe that thought that you're having right then. Say, nope, I'm not doing this. This is what I want, and focus on what you want. And you can even act like you're talking to your unconscious brain and say, today I choose this, and this is what I expect. And be very commanding in your voice about it, either out loud or in your mind.
And what gives you the edge is when you realize that your subconscious will do anything you command or
tell it to do.
As if you can believe it and understand that you're the creator of your whole experience and that your subconscious is serving you, you're in the driver's seat.
Totally.
You've got this game won.
There have been so many stories and so many things that are shared about people that have had illnesses and experiences of poverty and all kinds of unpleasant experiences, and they change their thoughts, they change their mind, and it literally changes their life. They heal themselves. They start living in prosperity and abundance. They find their soulmate. They have better relationships with family. They are doing very well at work or getting promoted. Anything that you want, you can have it if you will ask for it or
claim it.
Claim it. I want to talk about some funny things that we used to believe.
Okay, let's think about it.
Right. So one of my big beliefs that is like, okay, I was raised in a really strong woman family. So we have a lot of strong women in my genetics. And we were taught to be very powerful and self-reliant. And some of the things that I picked up from all of that are that men are not that great.
Men are pigs.
I was trying not to say that.
Well, that's the family belief.
Yeah.
That men are pigs.
And, not necessarily looking around and looking at every man and saying, oh, you're such a pig. But having that conditioning, it made me see a lot of things that maybe men would do that are not that pleasing. Okay. And it was very interesting being married to someone for 21 years in a marriage that was less than ideal for me. And getting out of that marriage and then being with Jack. And then Jack says to me, oh, by the way, I'm a man.
Yeah, but back then my name was Susie.
Yeah, Susie's
and
like...
Susie saying to you, Tiff, I'm a man.
I feel like a boy.
And you're like, well, that means you're a pig.
I did not
She didn't
say
that.
It,
but hello. That's what
that's what triggered in my brain. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just got out of a marriage with a man and I finally felt settled because I didn't have to be around men. And Jack says I'm a man, which was very good because I went in and took a look at all my conditioning about what I believed about men. And I was able to clear that. And now I can say, I honestly do not believe that men are pigs at this point. And men are very, very important, just as important as women on this planet. And I love men and women. I just think that human beings are amazing. And women and men, either they're living in alignment with themselves or they're not. And that has nothing to do with me. As long as I'm working,
right.
As long as I'm working to live in alignment with myself, then I'm in a good place. But now I can really appreciate men. But I had a very strong conditioned response. And what was interesting is when we were working through all the fear that came up about your transition coming up.
Yeah.
I made a very clear decision that I wanted to see some really amazing men.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Remember that?
Yes, I do.
So I'm like, this is what I want.
And did you see some amazing men?
Yes. And one of them was you. And I was able to see the amazingness of the thought process of masculine energy and to really appreciate it and realize how absolutely essential it is for my energy.
Yeah.
And so, that was one of those things that I was like, okay, I've got to take this conditioning. I've got to clear this out. And then I am going to demand that I have a certain experience. And the unconscious brain is very, very powerful.
Yes, it is.
So
Yes,
I
it is.
really do love talking about this. And so listener, pay attention to some of the things that you have bought into over the years. What are some of the funny things
You
that
know,
you?
I've just been sitting here thinking as you've been talking. One of the things that I really, a way that I lived was always trying to be right or be good, because I was brought up in a way that we had to live righteously, which included, you know, saying your prayers and going to church and all these things, reading the scriptures and blah, blah, blah. And so it was all these little things that I had to do. And so I felt like, honestly, I was always trying to be right. I was always trying to be good. I get in a relationship with Tiff and I was constantly trying to prove why I was right. If we'd get in a fight or we'd have a conflict, or even it would bring conflict, because I always had to be right, because I had this propaganda that I was raised with of you have to be right before God in order to be acceptable to God.
True.
Which was the
true.
ultimate. You didn't want to lose your salvation. I'm doing air quotes, but you didn't want to lose your salvation. So in my quest to always be right, I had bought into a way of being that was literally destroying my relationship.
Right.
And that was a shitty deal. And once I shifted the way that I thought about myself and the world around me, it's just gotten easier and easier to be in a relationship with someone and just allow them the space to be their way and me to be my way, and to create more of a team connection between
Right.
us.
Yeah.
There's so many different types of propaganda that can limit us and hold us down and keep us playing small.
Right.
And something that I know actively helped me, that was me moving into a more big mindset around this, was because when I get in conflict, I'm trying to prove myself. I started to understand that I probably was seeing something about the conflict we were in, or something about the way I was approaching it that could be out of alignment.
Sure.
Or maybe it wasn't accurate the way I was
Mhm.
seeing it. And I think I actually originally learned this through A Course in Miracles or Marianne Williamson, about becoming willing, saying a prayer. Back then it was, say a prayer and express your willingness to see your own part
Right.
of the conflict.
Right.
That is a very
was powerful.
powerful thing to do. When you can't quite see what's going on, but you're in a definite issue with somebody that you love, just ask to be shown. Ask the
Right.
universe, source energy, to show you what your part is, so you can see clearly your own discrepancy, where you're out of alignment. And the minute you do that, I promise you, within a day, you're going to have a clear understanding of where you might be being discrepant, or where you might be seeing things out of alignment. So if you want to see the propaganda that you're buying into in your life, ask, show me.
Right.
I want to see where I'm buying into propaganda that is limiting my possibility here on this planet of
Right.
living my best life right now.
Right.
My abundance in relationship, in money, in health, in love, in passion, in purpose, all
Right.
those things. So do the little willingness exercise. It's amazing. And that brought me, and I still use it a lot of times when we're in a conflict. It's like, hey, you know what? In my mind, I go to a place, I'm like, I am willing to see where I may be totally out of alignment here. Show me. And then let it go, and you will see.
Right.
Try it out. It's amazing. Go ahead.
I think one of the biggest chunks of propaganda that I bought into is not making decisions because I felt like God's will.
Oh, wow.
So I want to talk about this.
I am so glad you brought that up.
So here's something really interesting. I have always believed in being generous. And I also believe that if you are generous when you're in need, generosity comes back to you. That's something I always believed. I had some really interesting experiences with this that opened my mind to something more. And I remember there was a period of time in my first marriage where we were doing quite well financially. And so I was extremely generous because I liked it. I liked being generous. So
it was a very short time out of all the years.
Yes, a very short time. And so I helped people out where I could. Shortly after that, I was in a place where I really needed help. And I wasn't finding the assistance that I needed. And I was very confused about that, because I'm like, well, when I had more, I shared. So I thought maybe someone would help me, and it wasn't happening. And it was very interesting because I couldn't understand it. And I was very big into God's, thy will be done, God's will be done. And so all the hardships that I was having in my life, I just felt like, well, this must be God's will, and it's refining me into a better person. I'm learning a lot of things, and I'm here to suffer and prove myself. And if I do well in this life, in the next life, I will have my reward there. And I really stuck to that with all that I was, which was my belief system. I don't know what shifted exactly, other than I had so much confusion about why I was suffering so much monetarily, physically, emotionally, without assistance. It was almost as though there was no one here to help. It was really, really weird. And it occurred to me one day that God was really saying, or divine source, or whatever the God of your understanding is, whatever you want to call that, that God was saying, Tiffany, make a decision about what you want, and then I can help you. But I kept waiting for God to tell me, and waiting for God to rescue me, and waiting for someone else to assist me. I was waiting and waiting, and I finally got so tired of waiting, I decided to change my mind. I decided to think, you know what? I'm no different than this person that enjoys this in life. And I'm no different than this person that enjoys this in life. So why am I going without while all these other people are having abundant experiences? There was no good reason. There was no reason other than I thought, well, I'm just being refined. This is God's will that I suffer.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
When I began to change my thoughts about abundance, when I began to believe that, oh, I am here to live an abundant and joyful life, when that happened, my life drastically and very quickly began to shift into more of an abundant experience. And I was just telling Jack yesterday, I think, I said, look at where we are right now in life. Look what we are doing. We are living what we call our dharma or our mission. We are on this planet. We are an international company that is helping people all over the world. We are finding joy in helping people create the lives that we want. We have an amazing relationship, an amazing family. And, we're going on vacation, and we're doing this, and we're having parties, and we're doing all these things that I always dreamed about. It wasn't until I decided to have those things and I said, no, that's for me. I want that. Then my unconscious brain said, oh, is that what you want? Okay, then let's create it. And here it is. And that is why we're talking about propaganda.
It is why we're talking about propaganda. As you were speaking to all of that, I was thinking about one of our listeners that we got a little thank you note from. And he was saying, because it was last episode, one about no apologies necessary. And right now, all I want to do is apologize for the sound on last week's episode because we had a little glitch with the computer and whatever, who cares? We loaded it anyway. So I'm actually not going to apologize, but he had listened to the podcast and we had talked about the Louise Hay exercise of saying, when you see something that looks amazing and a car or a vacation or a partner or a person or a relationship and say, that's for me. But as we're talking about what propaganda are you buying into, he shared something that every time he would see something that he really wished he had, he would actually have the thought, that's not for me. I don't get that.
Right.
Oh my God. And he said that one thing has changed his life already. Just switching his thought. And today we're just going a little deeper on the whole thing of helping you take a look at the propaganda you're buying into. You were born with a purpose. There's a reason for you to be here. What is it? Are you driving along and you ever just have a little glimpse of seeing yourself doing something big and magnificent or something that would be very meaningful to you? That is your purpose. So don't give up on that. And so today we're saying, look at the propaganda. What have you believed about yourself? Why you can't be living your purpose, or why you can't be in the relationship of your dreams, or whatever it is that you want.
Why you can't make more money, why you feel sick all the time.
Challenge
all of those things. I am telling you, you have the ability to shift and change it all. This just made me think of our daughter's fiance's father. was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Oh, probably like he's had a really rough go. Okay. And he's stage 4 cancer 4 or 5 months ago. And so Victoria and Cody went to visit. She did a little healing work on him and also started teaching him about all the things we're talking about here and meditation and oils.
He's been doing that.
He's been doing all of it. He
answers.
would go in for chemo and do meditation while he was getting his chemo. He
been
went into the
searching.
doctor. And for the last thing that we heard, that the cancer that's all through his body is disappearing. And the doctor's like, what is going on?
Yep.
Because the chemo was just there to kind of sustain his life as long as possible. They weren't thinking, oh, this is going to fix the problem. He is using his thoughts and his mind to help his body rid itself of cancer.
It's a huge deal. That's how powerful our minds are.
We are here to have the desires of our heart and live in joy with those outcomes. That is why we are here. And, whatever you feel called to do
it
in your mission. We just talked to one of our clients yesterday, and she said she wants to live in Cambodia and
run an animal shelter. Beautiful.
Isn't that awesome?
Every single one of you and us, we have something important to do. Tiff and I, we're living our mission. Right now, us recording this podcast is part of our life's work on this planet. Our life coaching that we do, we're just taking all of our life coaching and bringing it out to make it digitally available. And that's in the next month or so, you're going to see some big things moving that way. It's because it's our mission. The more people, more of you that can hear us tell you that you have everything you need to live your passion, your mission, your purpose, your best life today. That's why we're here, to remind you that you too get to do this.
Yes.
Every single one of us have something amazing
and we have
to bring to make the world a better place.
We have awesome tools that help you clear and learn how to work with your unconscious mind so that you can start putting your order in. Like Abraham says. Abraham's like, get it in your vortex and allow it to come in. What do you want? We have amazing tools to help you create the life you want. And we are so passionate about it. I could just get on the roof naked and scream to the world. Up here, I've got something to tell you. It's so important. This is our life, this conversation that you're hearing in all of our podcasts. When we're on stage, when we're on coaching.
Over and over and over.
We will continue to talk about this forever because it is so exciting to create the life that you love. It feels so amazing to know that you are in the driver's seat. God is moving through you and around you, and you get to choose. You don't have to wait for anyone or any being to come and give you something because you finally earned it, because you finally deserve it. We're here to tell you, you deserve it now. There is no earning anything. You get to create what you want right now. And it is by opting out of the shitty propaganda that you have bought into and telling your unconscious brain something different. Once you do that, watch the magic happen.
Right. So I have 2 little exercises that I'm going to give you. The first one is, if money and time were no limit, if you had all the money and all the time in the world, what would you be doing with your life right now? What would you be doing? Take 5 minutes and think about it and write it down. What would your life look like? And write it all in the present tense as though it's already here. You have all the money in the world and all the time in the world. What is that life? What is your best life now? What does it look like? Write it down, present tense. And the second thing is, every time you feel a shitty, limited thought coming in and you can see it clearly, it's like, oh, more propaganda, why I can't and shouldn't have the life that I love or live my best life now. Put your foot down and say, no, I choose and enjoy whatever it is you're creating for yourself, and say the opposite. Whatever it is you want, claim it in that moment. Every time a negative, limiting thought hits you, put it down.
Yes. That is your assignment until next week.
So take a look at the propaganda, pay attention. What's coming out of your mouth? Look around at your life, and that will give you a good idea of what you're thinking, what your subconscious thoughts are doing, what's happening in your world, and the things that you want to see different. Choose it.
Yep.
Choose and claim your right to live your best life right now,
This minute.
which may include eating dessert first,
You know why we need to do that?
because life is so meant to be devoured.
Oh, it is. And dessert is so good.
I know. We're Tiff and Jack. We thank you for joining us again today,
And we will be back.
because we always are.